They're still on the plane, and Kaname is so distracted her friend can't help but notice. She guesses that Kaname is thinking about Sosuke, and Kaname doth protest too much. The plane starts losing control, though. Lucky break, it will allow her to avoid an awkward conversation. That's worth it. It was caused by our spy shooting the pilot, and ready to do in the co-pilot before his employer intervenes to ask, "What the hell? Stop messing with our mission and turn the damn plane around already." They're heading for either Vladivostok or Kanka. I'm not sure. They're the only two things that are on this map. See, Kanka seems the more likely one because in the center of attention on the map, which is what you usually do when you're going to someplace specifically. It's just that what discourages me is the fact that Kanka is a lake. But really, this is anime. I'm not really sure logic has any place here. The kids start to realize that there's a problem with their destination, and the absence of any flight attendants too. Shinji spots a MiG and a T-54 tank. Soviet military equipment for sure.
Due to unavoidable circumstances, we've made an emergency landing at this airbase in the autonomous region of Kanka.
So this hijacking is being done in the name of Atlantis. The spy says that they're hostages, and they better behave or all the soldiers outside will have to shoot them. The sub is already aware of what's going on. Seems that the KGB were answering to someone else, the same as the Kanka enclave.
What you're saying then is this unknown person took 400 hostages to cover the kidnap of one girl, and on top of that chose a politically difficult place, so mounting a rescue would be next to impossible?
Well, that's unacceptable. I'm going to put this on my Tumblr page to make my displeasure known. She decides the best course of action is to negotiate for the safe return of the hostages, even if that means letting the bad guys take Kaname for the time being. They'll try to rescue her later on once the rest are safe. The bad guys are even now taking her off the plane.
I would like to send a videotape off to the mass media. And you're very photogenic. You'd be the perfect face for this tragedy.
We'll also need your panties in order to get NATO to give us back some negatives they stole. Well, their teacher has put up with a lot of shit so far from Sosuke, so she is not suffering this gladly.
If you need someone, you can take me.
You wouldn't arouse as much sympathy. This is for the mass media.
That is the worst excuse I've ever heard! You're nothing but a coward!
Hmm?
You're the worst kind of criminal!
You were smoking on the plane, weren't you? You are worse than Hitler. Well, funny thing, chewing out a homicidal maniac leaves him of the opinion he should just murder you as an example. Sosuke can't directly get involved. Even if he could take these two down, there's no escape with those soldiers out there. So he creates an accident to provide a moment's distraction and for tempers to cool. But while it saves their teacher, it doesn't stop them from taking Kaname. So he heads down to baggage and grabs his taser, and good timing, because he discovers the bad guys have a bomb on the plane, and witnesses them arming it. So he slips out of the plane to call up the sub. If he tried it here, the radio waves could set it off. He explains what happened, and that this bomb is beyond what he's currently equipped to disarm. They limit your carry-ons, see. It was either desert survival gear or bomb disarming tech, and he made the wrong call. Meanwhile, Kaname is being subjected to some weird sort of sensory input scenario, while our secret agent, Gowron, grouses about how long it's taking, and is ready to go with killing the scientist because when all you have is a hammer, you think you're fucking Thor. He'd probably do it, though, because back at the sub, Commander Kenny Rogers is explaining to Captain iCarly about how Gowron slaughtered some villagers, and he and Sosuke vowed revenge for his brutality. And they got it, shooting him in the head. Yet somehow he's still out here doing villainy. That's a tough one. How do you beat a guy who can survive what can kill a zombie? Unfortunately for Sosuke, he's discovered by the guy holding Gowron's leash. Unfortunately for that guy, he's up against Sosuke, the deadliest panty thief in the world. He overpowers and tases the guy, stealing his gun.
Damn you. Who the hell are you?
I take out the garbage.
Best use of that line I've ever heard. Kaname has come to and finds out what she thought was speed learning is actually her remembering things she was born knowing. While she puzzles through that, though, the sub is plotting a rescue mission.
First, we will send each respective air support unit in, led by an AS team comprised of 6 armed slaves. Attack helicopters, transport helicopters, then VTOL fighters.
If the captain asks about the unicorns, just nod like you know what she's talking about. It would take too long to explain. The plan is to evacuate the hostages from the plane and load them onto some UN planes to escape, while the military forces try to defend them.
We are the only ones in the world who can make this mission a success, so I'm counting on each of you. I want you to work to the best of your ability.
Go, Joe! What they don't know is that Sosuke's communicator was destroyed in the scuffle, so he has no means of telling them what's going on. They're just going to have to hope that he might be there to help with the hostages on the plane. That's where he was told their priorities lie. But as he keeps hearing the odd gunshot, his mind keeps bringing up images of Kaname. And so the man who said,
Getting attached could jeopardize the mission. You might lose the ability to make judgments with a clear head.
decides, this time, to forget the mission and save the girl. We're off to a very solid start here, marrying a classic fish-out-of-water comedy with an engaging military plotline. Our two main characters are a great choice for each other. The guy who puts all of his points into combat techniques and leaves nothing left over for social interaction or human understanding. And on the other side, the alpha girl who excels at everything but has a fiery temper and no patience for idiots. They form a great double act, and the fact that she kicks his ass and puts him down repeatedly doesn't change the fact that she's the one that can compel him to abandon professionalism for the personal. It is a fully believable moment that's well handled. We don't know enough yet to know what exactly makes Kaname so important. That's what makes this dynamic so essential. It has to carry the story right now, with a serious military plot in a culminating but ultimately nebulous aspect. The collision of these points now seems to up the stakes for both. We'll have to see when we get to our next chapter of Full Metal Panic.
All hail the Overlord! All hail the Overlord!
I'm incredibly sorry. I'm Sosuke Sagara. Everyone please disregard the sergeant part as it was my mistake.